One of these red stones can be worth more than a new car. The others are nearly worthless, and from 6 feet away, most people can't tell the difference. They look almost identical, same red color, same weight in your hand, same shape in the gravel. One is a real ruby. The others are clever imitations that have fooled gem buyers, kings, and museums for centuries. But there's one fast field test, something anyone can do at home, that gem experts have used for over 100 years to separate likely rubies from most common imitations. I'll show you exactly how it works at the end of this video. First, I'll show you the 7 ways rubies appear in nature, the kind of geology they form in, and the visual signs that separate them from the look-alikes that fool nearly everyone. The 7th stone on this list isn't a ruby at all, and that's exactly why it fools even seasoned collectors. Let's begin. Here's the quick science. Ruby is a mineral called corundum, the same mineral as sapphire. The only difference is what's mixed inside the crystal. A trace of chromium turns it red, and that chromium is the key to everything that follows, because it's chromium that makes ruby behave in a way most other red stones can't. Now the 7 stones. Stone number 1, the dusty red pebble, the first one, is the classic. The pebble that built Burma's reputation as the ruby capital of the world. A dusty red-brown pebble, small, smooth, often coated in dried creek silt. It looks worn out, tired. Most people see it and assume garnet. They walk on. But when you wet it and hold it up to the sun, something changes. The dust falls away, the color deepens, and a slow, steady red glow appears from inside the stone, not on the surface, but within it. Where these are found, anywhere with a history of metamorphic mountain building from Burma to Mozambique. If your region has ancient marble or Amphibolite formations on its geological maps, ruby-bearing gravels are at least possible. A dusty red pebble that lights up from within when wet, that's a stone worth taking home for a closer look. Stone number 2, the 6-sided crystal, the second stone, has a geometry no other red mineral can fake. Corundum crystals, every single one of them, grow as 6-sided prisms. Even when nature breaks the crystal apart, the hexagonal habit is often preserved in the fragments. 6 clean sides. Flat faces, a pencil-like shape when whole. Garnet, the most common ruby, look-alike, crystallizes as a 12-sided or 24-sided shape. Spinel grows as octahedrons. Glass has no crystal habit at all. So if you find a dark red crystal with 6 clearly defined sides, you've already eliminated most of the imposters before you even pick it up. Where these are found, Mozambique's ruby deposits, discovered in 2009, have become one of the largest sources on Earth. Madagascar and Tanzania produce similar fragments, a red crystal with sharp angular faces and a hexagonal cross-section that's a stone that hasn't traveled far from its source rock. And that means more ruby may be nearby. Stone number 3, the star ruby, the third stone, is one of the strangest sights in all of mineralogy. It looks opaque milky, dome-shaped, deep red but with no transparency. Most rockhounds glance at it and decide it's a low-quality ruby fragment or maybe a piece of weathered jasper. They set it aside. But hold it under direct sunlight, at just the right angle, and a perfect 6 rayed white star glides across its surface. This is called asterism. It happens when microscopic needles of the mineral rutile grow inside the ruby crystal, all aligned along the same axes. Light reflects off those needles in 6 directions at once, creating a star that moves as you tilt the stone. The famous Rosser-Reeves star ruby, a 138-carat star ruby now in the Smithsonian, came from Sri Lanka. The original finder almost certainly mistook it for an ordinary dome-shaped pebble at first glance. If you ever see a dome-shaped red pebble that looks too dull to be valuable, don't dismiss it. Tilt it slowly under the sun. If a star appears, you're holding something extraordinary, Stone number 4, the marble-embedded ruby, the fourth stone, is the one professional rockhounds always check first. Some of the finest rubies on Earth grow inside gray-white marble. Ruby forms when chromium-rich fluids alter limestone deep underground, crystallizing the gemstone directly in the contact zones. The visual is unmistakable. Pale, almost chalky marble, a vivid red crystal sitting on or in the surface. Sometimes just one crystal. Sometimes a small cluster. Where these are found, marble-hosted rubies appear anywhere ancient limestone has been metamorphosed by deep mountain building. Some historians believe Roman senators wore rubies cut from marble deposits in what is now Afghanistan. If you find a small piece of gray or white marble with even a hint of red in it, pick it up. The marble is the messenger. The ruby is the message. Stone number 5, the dark green Amphibolite with red spots, the fifth stone, is unusual because it doesn't look like a ruby host at all. Amphibolite is a dark green to almost black metamorphic rock, heavy in the hand, made mostly of amphibolite minerals. It looks like the kind of stone you'd ignore on any hike. But amphibolite is rich in iron, magnesium, and sometimes chromium. When ruby-forming conditions hit this rock, the result is striking vivid red crystals scattered across a dark green matrix, like coals on wet leaves. And here's the part that makes amphibolite belts so exciting for treasure hunters. If you find one ruby crystal in amphibolite, don't stop looking. These rocks occur in long belts where multiple ruby-bearing exposures can appear close together sometimes for miles along the same geological strike. A single red dot on a dark green rock isn't just one find. It's a doorway. Stone number 6, the pink-red border stone, the sixth stone, is the one gemologists argue about and the one international gem dealers fight over. Some corundum sits right on the boundary between pink sapphire and ruby. The color is real and natural, but it's lighter than a classic ruby red, leaning toward rose or raspberry. Here's where it gets interesting. The same stone can be sold as pink sapphire in one country and as ruby in another. In the United States, a true red hue qualifies as ruby even if it's pale. In stricter markets, the same stone is downgraded to pink sapphire and loses value overnight. Some dealers have built entire businesses on understanding which side of that line a stone falls on. If you find a pink-red crystal that feels heavier than ordinary stone, get it tested. The line between pink sapphire and ruby can mean a difference of thousands of dollars per carat. Stone number 7, the look-alike that fools everyone, the seventh stone isn't a ruby at all. And that's exactly why it fools nearly everyone. This is red spinel. For most of history, the two minerals were considered the same. Some of the most famous rubies in royal crowns turned out to be spinels, including the legendary Black Prince's ruby, the centerpiece of the British imperial state crown, which is actually a 170-carat red spinel that was mistaken for ruby for nearly 6 centuries. Red spinel and ruby look almost identical to the naked eye. Same color, similar weight, similar hardness. Even shape can overlap those spinel forms as octahedrons rather than the hexagonal corundum prisms we saw earlier. Telling them apart with confidence usually requires laboratory testing. But there is one fast field test that gives you a strong clue at home, and that's what I want to show you next. The field test, the test. Shine a small torch on the stone in a darkened room. Most rubies, because of their chromium content, glow back a strong, vivid red. The phenomenon is called fluorescence, and chromium-rich rubies have some of the strongest fluorescence of any gemstone on Earth. A few important details. For best results, use a 365 nanometer long-wave UV light, the standard wavelength gemologists rely on. The cheaper 395 nanometer torches work, but the response is significantly weaker. And one honest caveat, some rubies, especially iron-rich stones from certain Thai and African deposits, fluoresce only weakly or not at all because iron suppresses the chromium glow. So a strong red glow is a great sign, but no glow doesn't mean it's not ruby. It might just mean it's an iron-rich variety worth getting professionally tested. Red spinel, red garnet, glass, and dyed quartz typically glow weakly or not at all. So when a stone glows back electric red under long-wave UV, you've got a very strong clue. A small UV flashlight costs under $20, and it has helped gem hunters narrow the field for over 100 years. So let's recap. The dusty red pebble with an inner glow when wet. The six-sided crystal with hexagonal geometry. The star ruby with its 6-rayed light. The ruby in pale marble. The amphibolite with red dots. The pink-red border stone. And the spinel the look-alike that fools everyone until the UV test narrows it down. One last practical tip before you head out. Most rocks you pick up will be coated in dried silt, clay, or river mud. Before testing any of them, soak your finds overnight in plain water, then gently scrub them with an old toothbrush. Avoid acids, they can damage some minerals. Avoid bleach. Just water, a soft brush, and patience. A clean stone tells you everything. A dirty stone hides almost everything. The next time you're near a gem-bearing creek or hillside, your eye will catch what most people walk straight past. But here's the thing about precious stones. The next one I want to show you breaks one of the basic rules of gemology. It changes color right in front of your eyes, from green in daylight to deep red under a lamp. The strange part? Most people who find these rocks throw them away thinking they're just unusual quartz. If you've enjoyed learning to read what nature is hiding in plain sight, subscribe to Gemstones Worth